Okay, guys, good morning. Today we're going to talk about incident reporting. We're actually going to go over the form that is used to report an incident. I'm going to read this over kind of slow so that we can catch it, and then we're actually going to go over the form. Please note that all the information filled out on this form must be typed. We cannot turn in handwritten forms. The incident reporting form does not replace the abuse, neglect, or exploitation reporting required by the state law and rule. Allegations of abuse, neglect, and exploitation must always be reported immediately to the Florida Abuse Hotline. And as you know, that number is 1-800-962-2873. Or as the students say, just look at the yellow paper. Critical incidents must be reported to the APD regional office within 1 hour after the facility finds out about the incident. The initial report may be made by telephone or in person. However, an incident reporting form must be completed and submitted no later than 1 business day after the critical incident. This is a note and a reminder for all Rayfield employees. All incidents are reported by the main office. No one at Rayfield is to pick up a phone and report a critical incident to the APD office. That is done by the director, which is Dr. Sonetta Carter. Okay? Reportable incidents must be reported to the APD regional office within 1 business day following the incident. And it must be reported on the critical incident form. So this gives you time to gather all the data about the incident. We don't just run and jump and report an incident that we don't have all the facts about. So we have to collect all the facts, get all of those facts on the form, and then Dr. Carter ships it out to the correct reporting office. All right, so now we're going to go over the step-by-step instructions. So the initial report or the follow-up report. So now that tells us that there's 2 reports. There's an initial report, and after the initial report, after we found more data or time has passed, we do a follow-up report. So the initial or follow-up report. On the incident reporting form, check the box relevant to the incident. Meaning, is this the initial report or is this the follow-up report? If this is the first report for an incident, please check initial report. If this is a follow-up report, please check follow-up report. Only complete the second page of the report if it is the follow-up report. Okay, so the next item on the form is persons involved. On the incident reporting form, list the name of each individual involved in the incident, along with the individual's date of birth, sex, and date of birth. The third item on the incident reporting form is resident. Is any person with a developmental disabilities whose primary place of residence is a facility, whether or not such person is a client of the Agency for Persons with a Disability. So what they're saying here is we want to know where this person lives. Then the next item is client. Any person determined eligible by the Agency for Persons with Disabilities for services. Next item, covered person. Any owner, employee, staff, volunteer, intern, or licensee of anyone under contract with APD. Any person providing care or support to the client on behalf of the Agency for Persons with Disability. So here we're just trying to identify everybody involved. Now we want to know the date of the incident. Next, we want to know the time of the incident. Next, we want to know the county that the incident took place in, Dade, Broward, Palm Beach. We want to know if the hotline was called. On the incident reporting form, check the relevant box to indicate whether the abuse hotline was called as a result of the incident. Law enforcement involved. On the incident reporting form, check the relevant box to indicate whether law enforcement was involved. This may include situations in which law enforcement was called or responded to as a rise to the incident. Parent/legal representative notified. On the incident reporting form, check the box on the incident where the incident's resident or client's parents or legal representative has been notified. Department of Children and Families, DCF, notified, if in DCF custody. On the incident reporting form, check the box to indicate whether DCF was notified. Only check Notified DCF if the resident or client involved in the incident is in DCF custody. ROM designee notified. On the incident reporting form, check the box to indicate whether the incident was reported to APD's regional manager or designee. Next, WSC, which stands for Waiver Support Coordinator, notified. On the incident reporting form, check the box to indicate whether the Waiver Support Coordinator or the resident or client was notified regarding the incident. Open court case. On the incident reporting form, check the box to indicate whether the individual involved with incident had or has a open or pending action. Okie doke, let's move on to critical incident categories. Incidents in this category must be reported to APD within 1 hour after the staff being made aware of the incident. If the incident required between 8 p.m. and 8 a.m., the incident must be reported no later than 9 a.m. the next morning. Select the category that applies to the incident being reported. Covered person arrest. The arrest of a covered person for the potentially disqualifying offense specified in Section 393.065, Florida statutes. Life-threatening injury or illness. A severe injury or illness involving a substantial risk of death, loss, or substantial impairment of the body. Next, media involvement. An unusual occurrence that may initiate a unfavorable media attention. Missing child or adjudicated incompetent adult. The unauthorized absence or unknown whereabouts for more than an hour of a client or resident or adult who has been adjudicated incompetent. If the provider finds it appropriate, the provider may report the incompetent adult or minor missing before 1 hour has passed since the disappearance of the individual to the local law enforcement office and the APD office. Sexual misconduct. Any sexual activity between a provider and a resident, regardless of consent, and any sexual activity involving a child, any incident of non-consensual sexual activity between a client, any person in the community. Next, unexpected resident or client death. The death of a resident or client due to an unexpected incident. Examples may include, but not limited to, trauma, stroke, homicide, motor vehicle accident, or drug overdose. Verified abuse report, a protective investigation from the DCF office that verifies that a covered person has committed an act of abuse, neglect, or exploitation of a child or a vulnerable adult as defined by Chapter 39 of the Florida Statutes. Okay, guys, the next item on this report is nonviolent crime arrest. The arrest of a resident or client for a nonviolent crime, which occurs while the resident or client is under the care of a provider. This includes, but not limited to, drug-related charges, loitering, or failure to appear. The next item is resident or client injury. An injury to a resident or client due to an accident or act of abuse, neglect, or other incident allegedly occurring while the resident is receiving services from a covered person and that requires medical attention in an urgent care center, emergency room, physician office setting due to the injury being reported currently or requires admission to a hospital. Next, suicide attempt, and an act which clearly reflects a physical attempt by a resident to cause death to him or herself. Okay, guys, now we're down to the step-by-step instructions. We're actually going to check off some boxes as we go through this procedure. Okay, so number 1 is incident location. Check only one box that indicates where specifically the incident took place. Next, ADT, Adult Day Training. Training services that take place in a non-residential setting, separate from the home or facility in which the client lives, and are intended to be meaningful participation of a client's daily living skills. The routines of the community, such as training, may be provided in a work-like setting that do meet the definition of supported employment. Next, licensed home, group home, foster home facility, comprehensive transitional education program, assisted living facility, transitional facility, residential habitation centers, all licensed in accordance with Chapter 393.400 and 409 of the Florida Statutes. Next, supported living, a category of individually determined services designated and coordinated in such a manner as to provide assistance to adult clients who require ongoing support to live as independently as they possibly can in their own homes, to be integrated into the community and to participate in community life to its fullest extent possible. School, an organization of students or instructional purposes on an elementary, middle, or junior high school, secondary, or high school, or other public school level, authorized under the Florida statutes and the Board of Education. Family home, primary residence occupied by the resident, client, and members of the family, including the parents, the siblings, stepchildren, step-parents, step-siblings, and in-laws. Community-based service location, Any location, resident, or client that may be in the community under the supervision of a covered person. Other location, any location the resident or client may be in the community while not under the supervision of the covered person. Provider information. The information that is in field should be related to the provider submitting the incident reporting form. For example, we would put there Rayfield Family Literacy. Do not use abbreviations in names, addresses, or fields. Include the provider's facility, area code, phone number, and submission date of the report. Description of the event. Provide a complete narrative of the description of the incident. This includes, but not limited to, the persons involved, what happened, when the incident occurred, where the incident occurred, how the incident occurred, and the treatment or actions taken immediately by the provider and others involved. Identify any known person or escalating events leading up to the critical or reportable incident. Person reporting. State the name of the person completing the incident form. Include the person's direct phone number with the area code. Reviewing supervisor. State the name of the reviewing supervisor or the person reporting. If applicable, include the reviewing supervisor's direct phone number and area code. Waiver support coordinator. State the name of the WSC of the resident or client. Now we're going to move on to the last part of this form. Say we've submitted the form, the incident form now has been submitted. This is the initial incident form that we have submitted, and that's over. It's done. And here we are 30 days later. We may have a little bit of new information. We may have no information at all. But now it is time for us to do a follow-up reporting form. So here we are. These are the follow-up reporting form instructions. Please note that all information filled out on this form must be typed. This form may be completed and submitted to the region office at a later date after submission of the initial form, which should not exceed 5 business days. Okie dokie, let's go. Person involved. All information identifying the persons involved should be the same as the initial incident report that has been previously reported. Date of initial incident. This is the date that the initial incident occurred. Date of follow-up report. State the date that the follow-up report is being submitted. Okay, now we're down to the first text box. Describe any follow-up actions that were taken by the provider after the initial incident report was submitted by the provider. Second text box. For APD office use only, describe follow-up actions taken by APD staff after the initial report was received by the regional office. Reporting person. State the name of the person completing the follow-up reporting form. Include the person's direct phone number and area code. Reviewing supervisor. State the name of the reviewing supervisor of the person reporting, if applicable. Include the reviewing supervisor's direct phone number with area code. And last but not least, waiver support coordinator. State the name of the waiver support coordinator of the resident or client that was involved in this report. Okay, guys, this is phenomenal. We have gone over the entire incident reporting form. And although this is kind of tricky, it's our initial and our follow-up. There will be more to come in this area. So let's get excited. We're on top of things. We are learning more and more every day. We are becoming more competent, more professional, and we are moving ahead and covering all the bases of our training. Training is exciting. It is an opportunity to learn, and I am excited to share these opportunities with you. Let's have a great day, Rayfield. We're moving toward perfection. This is July. It's the month of July when I'm reading this incident reporting form, and our theme for this month is Christmas in July. Let's have a great day.